What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we are going to be discussing Steven Spielberg's newest film, Disclosure Day. We have a lot of thoughts on it and we have a lot to say, so let's just jump right into it. Um,
Great.
I guess, Adam, why don't you start?
Yeah. Um, so just to give everyone watching a warning, obviously this is going to be a very in-depth review. So
Yeah,
we're not,
spoiler.
we're,
Do we want to
no, I was
start
just going to
with
say
like
we're not going to do spoiler free and spoiler. I think we should just go right into it.
Yeah,
And for anyone, we encourage you to go to the theaters, watch this, and then come back and watch our review because we're just going to go straight into full review. I know some people like doing no spoilers first. I think we should just go straight into it. So for some context, both Yoni and I watched this in theaters on Thursday. Joseph just coming out of the screening. So, we obviously haven't forgot about it, but, it's given we Yoni and I have had a little bit more time to think about it and process it. So I'll start off and say straight out of the theaters, like literally as I was walking out, I was like bamboozled, lost. Like I was like, wow, because of what the ending does to you. Um, and we can go over a plot review. I'd rather have one of you do that, maybe you, Joseph, because you kind of just watched it. But before I go over a plot review, because we are saying spoilers, when you see Disclosure Day itself and you see the videos of the aliens, which by the way, I have a few critiques of those scenes, and then you see the alien at the end, which I've also seen critiques of. I don't have a critique on it. I think it's really cool. It cuts off so abruptly and it just makes you think like, oh, this is definitely has a message. I'm not realizing like this is amazing. And then I thought about it and I walked around for about 30 minutes outside of the movie theater because it's in a mall. And the more I thought about it, and Yoni, you saw this in real time because we were texting privately. The more I started to realize how many issues there was with this movie. Originally, I had it at a 3.5. About 5 hours later, I changed to a three, and it hasn't gone down or up since then. And my main issue is that I actually have two main issues. One, it looks like a Netflix movie to me. The way that I can describe that is when the characters and I don't know why I'm blanking, but whatever the villain's name was, if anyone wants to, was it Colin Firth?
Scanlan.
Sorry.
Scanlan.
Yeah, Scanlon. His headquarters at a Ward X, it just looks too Netflixy to me. I mean, like it just kind of looks dumb. The train scene where they're jumping around and it's like last second she makes the jump, cliche action. And then I'm like, okay, this is going to be an action movie. And then it just completely flips the script. The way I described this right after I got out of the theaters is for the first two acts, so obviously splitting into thirds, the first two acts of this movie, I was like, okay, there's so many ways this can go. And then when it transitioned to the third act or Disclosure Day, it completely went a direction I just thought it shouldn't have gone. But once it got there, it did good things. So I think if you put the final act with a better first two acts, this could be elite. And if you put the first two acts with a better final act that fits it more, I would probably give it a 3.5 or a four. I wouldn't be elite because I didn't love the first two acts. And I'll let you guys go more in depth, but that's my overall review of it. I just didn't like the way it looked, and I didn't like the way the first two acts matched with the last act.
yeah. So I want to start with the positives here because I really do think the positives outweigh the negatives for the most part. And when you walk out of the theaters after the last 15, 20-minute sequence of Disclosure Day, it is really, really powerful stuff. I think that it feels so authentic, and I've seen her getting a lot of praise on like social media, but the main reporter, I don't remember her name in the movie, and I don't know her name as an actor, but the main reporter's reaction to seeing these
You
this
mean like the one at the end? Like
yeah,
The one that
she's
was
I
on the
don't
wearing
main
even think she has
broadcast,
a name.
she
she's wearing
doesn't.
a green dress, but I think you all know who I'm talking about.
Yeah,
She
I have a
very
hot take
really,
about
really
that.
makes this scene, in my opinion. She
I
gives a
didn't like.
very
I
authentic
thought it was
take.
great. I
I
thought that
didn't
part
like
was
that
great.
performance. That's my
That's
hot take.
I
What?
think
Yeah,
that's
it
crazy.
it
I
pissed me
think
off.
besides
She was
Emily
she was
Blunt,
she
I
was
think it's the
overacting
second.
it. She was
I don't
overacting
think
in
so.
my
I
I
think
opinion.
think
that's completely
no,
I
realistic to
no.
think it
what
was
it would be
completely
like.
overacted.
It
There's
was
no
not
way a
overacted at
news
all. It
reporter
was so
that's
subtle and
professional
like
and has an obligation to share news is going to be that silent. I get it's mind blowing. It was just too overacted in my
she was
opinion.
not that like she was not that like she was
Yes,
not
she
talking
was. Go
that
watch it
much.
back. She
She
went
was
silent,
emotional. I mean, I just watched it. She was emotional. She was
too
trying to talk
emotional,
through it and explain the
overacted it.
images.
Okay, okay.
She was
Anyway,
clearly trying to do her job, but like if you're in a situation like that, keep in mind like in the context of the movie, basically they're told like from her perspective, she's running in New York or whatever, the news. They're told like we're cutting to Kansas City. Here's this report that they know nothing about, and she's showing the
She's seeing
basically
it live. I know.
she's
She's
seeing it
learning with
live like the
everyone,
rest of us.
but she overacted it.
I
It's too
completely
much.
disagree.
I completely disagree as well. But anyways, so I do think the positives in that really, really like it leaves a lasting impact on you. I mean, it was so powerful watching the Disclosure Day in theaters. I might be a little bit like higher on it than most people, but I was genuinely stunned by it. Unfortunately, I really think that there's a lot of underdeveloped themes and underdeveloped characters, and the plot is really just all over the place. I kind of described it to Adam as a movie that seems to be just running circles around itself. It kind of is just going from point A to point B to C
Yeah.
to B to D, and it's just going all over the place.
I don't think it knows exactly what it wants to
There's
be.
many, many moving pieces that I don't think work, and I think that a lot of the characters' decisions and a lot of the characters' like actions are impacted by, okay, we got to get from point A to point B. What's a convenient way we can do that? Oh, we have alien I don't know, like a what's
The
it called?
device.
We have this device. So now this device can like turn us invisible. Now this device can do that.
Yeah, I
Now this
agree.
device can do this. And I really just think the movie didn't really know what it wanted to do. I was like expecting Disclosure Day to happen. That's what I was anticipating the entire movie for this mass reveal to be shown to the public and how it would impact people. And I think that is such an interesting concept and such an interesting idea. And it happens in the last 20 minutes of the movie and nothing happens afterwards. Obviously, it's great. But it just felt like the movie didn't know what it wanted to be. There's so much happening with Emily Blunt's character that I do think is a little bit underdeveloped, and Josh O'Connor's character, which I don't really think Josh O'Connor gives a very good performance in this movie. That might be a hot take. I don't think he really
I don't
does
think
it.
it's one of his best.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
don't
think he's
think he
bad,
does.
but I don't think it's one
I
of
don't
his
think he
best.
really does anything to like to lure you in and get you invested into his character. I think the movie could have just gone without him. I don't see how his character is that impactful. I think it
Yeah,
would
he's
have
supposed to
been
be the
better
one that
character
because
focused.
he was supposed to be the one that can understand the natural language with
Why
math.
not just
And
give
then he
that
just does
ability to
nothing.
Emily Blunt
Yeah.
Yeah, but he
also?
doesn't even do anything at the end. You know what I mean? Like he's
I-
supposed to be the one that can translate it, yet
You
all he
you
had to do
have
was plug in the things. That wasn't all he had to do was plug in the flash drives to show it to the public.
you
You know
have
what I mean?
Emily Blunt on one side for the whole movie um trying to get to
Josh
the area,
O'Connor,
trying
and
to
then try to
get
get
to
to
the area,
disclosure.
and you have
Yeah.
Josh O'Connor on the other side, and he's doing the same thing. But both of the characters are underdeveloped, and both of the characters
Yeah.
don't get the proper like arc and storytelling that they deserve. And Emily Blunt just is such a better, gives such a stronger performance than Josh O'Connor.
Yeah, there's
Just have
another
it more
male
focused on
character.
one character.
There's another male character that kind of pissed me off. I don't, he was so recognizable. The
Wyatt
husband of Emily
Russell.
Blunt.
Wyatt Russell.
Yeah,
Wyatt
why I
Russell.
Yeah.
recognized him from something. I don't
It was
remember.
kind of
He's
odd
he's
that he
he's
was in there
he's in
because he
Marvel.
was
He's
That's who
uh
it is. He's a John Walker, right?
John Walker, yeah.
Okay, I knew I recognized him from something. I didn't care. This is just a main critique, and Yoni, this is building off what you said, and then Joseph will let you jump in and give you your full review before. I'm just gonna jump in and piggyback off what Yoni said. I didn't care about a single one of these characters. The only thing I cared about was the disclosure day.
I
There
liked
was
Emily
nothing that
Blunt.
I
made me
cared
feel
about
for this
Emily Blunt's
character.
character.
I
I
didn't care
actually
about
really
Emily Blunt's
think
character
Emily
in the
Blunt's
slightest.
character was
There was
well
nothing
done.
that made me care about her. The panic attack was some development, and that was very well acted. And I thought that scene was like the best part besides Disclosure Day. But I just didn't care about a single one of the characters. I didn't care about the generic villain. I didn't care about Emily Blunt's character, Josh O'Connor's character. I didn't care about Leo or whatever the guy that was building the set the whole time.
Hugo.
Hugo, yeah, Hugo.
Yeah,
I didn't care about him.
I agree
Yeah,
with that.
I just that
I
was
think
another critique. I just didn't care about the characters.
no, I think Emily Blunt's character was very
yeah.
interesting, and also her
Um,
backstory with how her childhood memories weren't like she wasn't able to remember them, and then you
It
have
was
that
blocked off.
scene where she's talking about her father's shingles in the after the train sequence, which I was really thinking they were going to continue, but that was kind of the last time it was brought up, which is under development.
um,
I think Emily Blunt's character is good, and there's a lot that you could have done with her, but also. I think like a lot of the chase sequences and a lot of the,
So
especially,
much plot armor. So
especially,
much plot
yeah,
armor.
there was a lot
How
of
does he
plot armor.
escape the barn or the safe house
When
by
there's like
Yeah,
crouching
that
15
and
was
guys
stealing a
around,
that was
there's
car
like
super
15
insane.
guys around him. There's like
and then
cars he's
getting out
running
of the
into
car and
him.
hiding behind a
I will
bush?
say
Oh my God.
I will say I think I like parts of the chase sequences. Some of them were cool, but it was also like
Yeah.
unrealistic.
Yeah.
Too
I
much
think
plot armor.
going back to like what you guys were saying, I actually kind of liked the ending because I like how it leaves it ambiguous as to like
Yeah,
what
I
the
don't have a
world will
problem
be
with the
like.
actual ending of the story. I think it's just like,
You think it's rushed or what?
no, I don't think it's rushed. I just think like, I do think the movie would have been overall better if you had less of the like getting
Spy
from
stuff
this.
or they?
Yeah, yeah.
I agree that I feel like this movie, like it's weird how you kind of take like an interesting concept about aliens and then make it like a spy thriller for 75% of it. And I say spy thriller, I don't know how much of a thriller it really is.
You
I
know
feel
none of them
like
are gonna die. I mean, come on.
my other thoughts on this movie are like just to piggyback on one of the things like Yoni was saying about like the device. The device, I feel like they make up a new power for it every 10 minutes to get them out of the situation.
Yeah,
Yep.
Like it can become
yeah,
invisible, it can turn all the lights back on,
It can
yeah.
and
transport.
just
What
all of
else
the
can it do?
alien
Oh, it can
power,
mind control.
And don't
all
forget
of
when they pointed at it, they were scared to death like it was like a gun.
yeah.
Remember when he was
That,
pointing
wait,
it
hold
at
on,
them?
hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Did any, for either of you, did that like first 15-minute, 10-minute like WWE sequence just totally throw you off?
I was
Okay,
I
that
thought I was in the
WWE
wrong theater,
sequence is
You're
not
bro.
like,
like three
what
minutes, dude.
movie am I
It's like a
in?
minute. That sequence is like
It
two
was
minutes.
yeah, it was maybe 2 minutes before
Okay, yeah, like
before they
it was like
panned.
5 minutes, but I was like,
It was
what?
less than
It
five.
wasn't
Of the
five. They
WWE
they
was
panned to
maybe
Josh
one
O'Connor's character
max.
after like a minute and a half or 2 minutes.
No, it was less than a minute.
Yeah,
It was less than a minute.
yeah.
Um, I just think like the all of the aliens and their powers, how they work, why they're here, what their motivations are, is like super undeveloped. You kind of get like a kind of vague.
Kind of like an Arrival
Um,
type.
No.
Arrival's a great movie.
Exactly.
You get a vague explanation from Coleman Domingo's character Hugo, which I'll talk about his character quickly in a second, but about like empathy and the importance of empathy, which I think is an interesting angle and concept to look at. It's just kind of underdeveloped in terms of that character, Hugo, which he's portrayed by a great actor, Coleman Domingo, but he's not. Coleman Domingo doesn't do anything in this movie. I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah.
I think part of that is the direct Spielberg. I just think I don't know if he was the right casting choice. Almost because, like, why are you going to get an actor of Coleman Domingo's quality if you're going to basically make him like a one-dimensional kind of like, I don't know, it frustrates me. And also it's just like he had like a weird voice. Like if you've seen other Coleman Domingo movies, he sounds like 80% similar to what he sounds like in this movie, but then the other 20% kind of sound like it's almost like Spielberg told him like you need to sound like a cool spy guy for the other 20% of your voice. Like it just was off-putting to me. Um and then I agree with what was said about Emily Blunt's performance being fantastic. Definitely the highlight of the movie, along with the score from John Williams. Obviously, like a John Williams Spielberg combination for score doesn't miss. Um, but yeah, I feel like I just felt really conflicted about this movie because it does some things really well, but it's just kind of hard to get a grasp on the singular identity of this film because I think there's just too much going on throughout a lot of it. It's trying to do too
I,
much.
I saw in your letterbox review, you also mentioned how the aliens being revealed to the whole world affects religion, which I
Yeah,
thought was
I like
um,
the interesting concepts it dives into about like religion and extraterrestrial life. Like I said in the review, the thin line between like public discretion around stuff like this and protection. At what point is it more of a public obligation to disclose it versus not, which is a talking point in the movie. I think
yeah.
those things are a bit underexplored, but at the same time, I think they're interesting. And I think if you read the bottom of my review, I think this is one other thing I would talk about. This movie hypes itself up for like a reveal or like to this mystery that's kind of going on, but then it's just kind of like falls flat in my opinion with the whole like
Ambiguous.
reliving her like memory as a 10-year-old sequence. It didn't really like satisfy for me.
Yeah.
And I think it
There's
was
some good stuff in it, but it just doesn't feel connected to the into it just doesn't feel nothing of this feels that connected and
yeah.
works.
I think another thing with the motivation, or like not with the relationships, which is a bit underdeveloped, is between Josh O'Connor's character and Jane, like his girlfriend, because you have a scene where Josh O'Connor's talking to Emily Blunt's character, and he's like, "Oh, like after I like had my incident, like I lost all my friends, like I couldn't socialize until I met her. She's different." But it doesn't go far enough depth into their relationship to justify this deep emotional connection that like what it makes her different to other people, just besides her loyalty to him. Like what is it specifically about their dynamics that's interesting? I
Yeah.
don't know.
What do
I
you,
think. Oh, yeah, you go for it.
I was just gonna ask, how do you guys think this movie will age? Because I don't really think it's gonna age that well. Like I feel like it's gonna kind
I think it gets worse after first watch because the first time you watch it, you're blown away by the ending, but you're like, oh, was the beginning low like bad enough to kind of ruin it? And then you
of
rewatch it and you already know what's going to happen, so the
yeah, I
mystical
agree.
effect's
Like I
gone.
feel like
I don't usually think about this kind of stuff like how a movie's going to age because I feel like it's not I think the word age kind of is like a cultural movies will age based on what the culture says, and I think it's hard to define like how that's going to go and what that's going to look like.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm
so
not thinking about that right now, but
uh-huh.
I'm just asking that because it's like
yeah.
it's just something we haven't talked about with this movie, and we've been like texting a lot, and it's a new movie, so I don't know. I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is this movie lost me at the scene that you can see at the top of your screen right now. And it's not just the part where
It felt cliche.
I get it's the same symbol as that's on the device, but I think it's just that entire sequence first with his girlfriend, which by the way put in a very underrated performance. I thought she had the second best performance of the entire movie. I don't know her the actor, but or actress, but she was amazing. But the scene, or just overall, the sequence of being at the safe house. First, this nonsense at the top of the screen with the hay separating because of the device. Get out of here. It means like it's just a new power made up. Second, I thought the discussion between Jane's girlfriend and the evil villain guy was just kind of dumb. I thought it was just dragging and felt like filler to me. I didn't feel
I
really
thought that part
necessary.
was interesting. I thought it was building tension
Yeah,
decently.
I mean it's
I
opinionated,
think the
but yeah.
problem with it for me was like it's so underdeveloped. Like, they just kind of introduce, like we've talked
Yeah.
about, oh, this is a power that the device has. They don't really explain exactly why it works. It just
Yeah.
happens that way.
And then
Um,
I haven't even mentioned the worst part about this scene, and that's how he got away. That he's just going to crouch, somehow get through 16 different cars, escape all of them with a tire that's broken, and then somehow fooling them by putting a rock on the pedal to put your car in the water. Also, not to mention the cliche, there's a
And
cliff
then
there, stop
him
on a
just like,
dime.
him just like walking away like in the
Yeah.
woods, like on like the leaves and like hitting like these trees and everything, with people
This scene
like
is where the movie
everywhere.
lost me, but then it obviously brought me
mhm.
back. After this scene, I was like thinking like this could be like a two star, but the ending was like pretty good.
I will also say another scene that frustrated me was like the scene where she kind of goes to rescue him while he's about to be like interrogated, basically, and then they kind of walk out and
And they
she
all
begins.
see, yeah, they all see the
So
people.
that reminded me a lot of this scene from a movie, which I think now that you guys have seen it, I'm not gonna say the movie because I don't want to spoil it or get this thought in your head. It reminded me of a scene from a movie where something similar happens, where like the villains or like the kind of militants from the enemies that are supposed to be catching them just become in awe of like something they see
Yeah.
and just kind of put their weapons down. Except in the other movie, which I is
Can
actually
you
a really
say
good
it?
movie.
I want to
No,
know.
don't say it. Don't say it.
In the other movie, I have it at a 4 stars and a like. I think it's very good.
Have I seen
It's
it?
earned, like it's actually good and it makes sense.
I see.
I can tell
Well,
you if you want to know, or I don't
yeah,
know,
Yeah, I want to know.
you can text them.
I'll
But
text.
yeah, no,
You want
well, you two text. I think that another thing that just has to be mentioned is this is just not what you expect from a Steven Spielberg film. The first two acts,
I strongly agree with that.
the last act
Wait,
is
so have you seen
exactly what you
that?
Someone
expect.
else making the movie.
Have you seen that one or no?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. For the
Yeah.
last act, it felt like Spielberg last 20 minutes. I didn't even recognize, and we can go look through Spielberg's works. We don't have to rank them, but I mean, you just look at some of these, like, if you just compare the first two acts of this movie to Schindler's List, it's just not even close. And I know it's unfair to compare it for what me is a 5 star, but I can compare it to Catch Me If You Can, which I have a 3.5 star. You can tell it's Spielberg. It was, this is so much more. If you want to talk about chase and like a cat and mouse game,
Yeah.
this is how you do that. Now, the ending of this movie is nowhere near as good as Disclosure Day, which is why they're so close. But if you want to talk about a Spielberg cat and mouse, this is exactly what does it for
I
me.
Yeah.
I would also say it's interesting because a movie I watched recently, which we I mentioned at the beginning of last episode, was Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which is also Spielberg alien movie. And again, I won't spoil anything, but there's some similar thematic things that he's doing with that. And I think for both, I just kind of struggle with his execution. But for me, it was interesting to see it. Like I think it's I told Yoni like I'm gonna watch one more Spielberg movie before Disclosure Day, and it ended up being this one because it's a Spielberg sci-fi, and I didn't like it, but it's actually interesting to see how he kind of stays consistent in a lot of his messaging. Um, the other thing I would like to hear your guys' opinion on, because is I felt that they revealed the aliens too early in this movie. Whether that means they
Yes.
revealed the alien plotline or they shouldn't have shown what they
When
looked
they
like
show
till
the
the
alien
end.
to the girlfriend,
They
I
should not have, they should have just shown her face reacting to the computer. They should
I'm
not have
so
shown the
with you.
alien.
I don't get why they showed the alien because then it obviously put that thought in your head and it wasn't as cool at the end. Obviously, the end was still sick. But I didn't even think about that. But now when I do think about it, if they had only revealed the aliens at the end, this movie could have the ending would have been somehow better than I thought it was. Like that's a Yoni, I'd love to hear your thoughts. That's an amazing take for me.
I never thought of that. I really didn't mind them showing the aliens in was it like probably like the
It
second
was it was it
act.
was at the safe house.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was
I
pretty
really
like
don't mind
early
them
on in
doing
the
that
movie,
because
honestly.
it kind of reels you into the other side of the story involving the aliens instead of like the cat and mouse chase.
I think
I'm
showing
not
her face
saying
would
they
have been
shouldn't have
perfect
said it's
here.
aliens.
I
He
think
can go and
showing her
explain
face
it's
would have been
aliens.
perfect
I'm just
here.
saying you don't have to show like he
Yeah.
can say it's aliens,
I
but I
think
like
her
when it's more up to
reaction
the
was a little bit over the
interpretation to
top.
what they look like.
I think
Huh?
her reaction was a bit over the top. Like she saw the aliens, like he was
No, the
coming out of
news
like a
anchor's action
pod
was
or
over.
something, and she like immediately broke down in tears. Like I thought it was a little bit
But
over
when
the
the
top.
news anchor does it, it's okay.
The news anchor was not nearly as emotional as she was.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, absolutely
She
true.
wasn't. You
The
can
news anchor
rewatch
was
it.
teared up and was like shaky a little bit, but she wasn't
She
like
also
looking
like
away like
turned it off
horrified.
immediately. She was like
She was
that
like
like
horrified.
shooken up.
Um,
The news lady was great.
the news lady was great.
Overacted
She
it.
gives the
It might not
second
have
best
even been her
performance in
fault.
the
It
movie.
might have been the fault of the writer, which I don't remember his name, but people were hating on his
Yeah,
script.
people were really hating on the writer because of the
Yeah.
I
screenplay.
also think I think Adam mentioned this, but so my understanding is the cinematographer of this movie is this guy Janusz Kaminski, and
Mhm.
he's done a lot of the cinematography for Spielberg's movies in the last 20 years. Now, I think all of three of us haven't seen a ton of his movies in the last 20 years, if any. We've seen probably a couple, but my understanding is a lot of people also find his cinematography in other kind of recent Spielberg movies to not be great or not be a style that they like matched with Spielberg's movies, which I kind of agree with. I think there are some really beautiful shots, but I think a lot of it, I don't know if I necessarily agree with Netflix look, but I know what you're saying.
The beginning looks
Um,
like a Netflix movie to me.
Yeah, the beginning does.
It just does to
And
I
me.
don't know
looks
about
really
Netflix movie, but
It
I do
gives
know
me
what you mean.
Netflix vibes.
But Joseph, I know what you mean. The cinematography really wasn't that great. And also, we talked about the scene, but I think the train sequence was A, unnecessary, and B, it
It
looked
was too
horrible.
cliche. The guy
I thought it
shooting at
looked
them, them
really
jumping in the
I didn't think
last
it looked good
second.
either, actually. That's a good take.
I
I
And I
think
thought
if
it
you
also
think
think
looked
it's
about
just
how it
out of
looks, I
place,
was
like a kind of Indiana Jones-esque, like
it
exactly.
was just
adventure
so
scene.
unnecessary. You didn't have to have like a 10-minute action sequence in the middle of like an
Yeah.
alien.
I saw another hate about that scene. Apparently, that's not how pianos get shipped. Apparently, they're crated up and or they're not like out in the open. So apparently, they like didn't do the research
I
on that.
really feel like this
That's a
Was
movie
that a
could have
piano? I don't think that
cut.
was a piano.
or whatever those were, whatever the instruments that they fell into the car of. Apparently, they were being transported incorrectly.
I also feel like this movie like seriously could have cut 50 minutes of its runtime.
I think you could have just changed the first two acts and made it match with the ending because
I
the ending
don't
was
think you
so cool.
needed Josh O'Connor's character. Like, I don't think you needed Josh O'Connor's character. I really feel like you could take that entire part out of the movie and what is it, like a 2 hour, 30 minutes movie? It becomes like 1 hour, 40. And it's just like so much more efficient and so much faster. And it just plays so much smoother, you know? Like, you already have such a big emotional, or what it's trying to go for with such a big emotional reveal with, Emily when that alien is like touching Emily Blunt as a child and also touching Josh O'Connor and like with like you know what I'm talking about, right? That
with
entire
the ring of
sequence.
devices, yeah.
Yeah, you don't need two people in that scene. It is emotionally works with just one. Like you don't need two, and you don't need two like mirrored storylines happening at the same time for it to work. Like I feel like that scene would have been just as efficient if you just take out like 50 minutes of Josh O'Connor's story.
I mean, I'm not going to debate you because I don't think he was that necessary.
Yeah.
You obviously can't cut out 50 minutes of this. Like, you can't have in today's day and age a movie that what would have turned into like less than an hour and a half. It just doesn't really sell
Yeah, it
anymore.
would have been like hour 40 or hour 45. Like I
Was
don't
this
know,
movie
maybe
two
like
and a
you
half
cut down
hours?
40 minutes or something. I might be over exaggerating how much of an impact he had in the movie, but at least like 20, 25 minutes could have been removed.
Yeah, this movie was two
Maybe
hours,
on that.
25 minutes.
I will say as well, I think this movie, like I think we've talked about this, suffers from like too many ideas. Like, I think one of the things that stuck out to me is this could have been a really interesting movie about like if they wanted to go this route, like the exploration between how the discovery of or like disclosure about alien life would affect religion and how it would shake people's faith and how people would either lose their faith or find faith within that. And it doesn't really explore that a lot, in my opinion. It's interesting when it does, but it's kind of half-hearted.
Yeah.
And I feel like that concept alone is super interesting. But
Yeah.
then they also like instead of focusing more on that, they focus more on the spy stuff, which like
Yeah.
is pretty generic for a lot of
Or
things.
like
Uh,
another interesting thing is like how would the Earth change once they know that aliens are out there? Not even like a religious aspect, just how would the world change in today's day and age if we knew that they were aliens, you know? That's another interesting plot and idea.
Yeah. I think you guys kind of covered it all. There's one last thing I want to bring up before you guys can bring up any closing things. The last thing I really want to bring up is I think I talked about this with you, Yoni, but now that Joseph's seen it, I think one of the worst parts of the movie happened in the final act during Disclosure Day, and that's Colin Firth, the villain, right?
Yeah.
Colin
Yeah.
Firth's character just sitting down and giving up after this chase being the entire movie and he just sits down and gives up. Like there's just no chance his whole job is to protect the secret. He has a whole thing of people surrounding, and I know the person has the alien thing that can put the power back on. But there's no way he should be just sitting down and giving up and accepting it. That's his entire life's work, and he spent the entire movie literally almost killing himself. I mean, we saw himself almost die using the machine to try and prevent this thing being leaked. It's just insane to me that he'd be willing to almost kill himself and he just sits down and watches it. Just baffled me. I
Yeah.
I
despise
don't
that.
know. I feel like at that point he kind of knew there was nothing he could do.
Baffled me.
I
But
feel like
Like
there's a little
unless
bit
they
of him.
wanted to shoot her in front of everyone.
Yeah,
Like,
I feel like there's a little bit of him conceding and a little bit of him like his actions just being subject to the plot. Like I think it's kind of
yeah.
both.
I
yeah,
also think like speaking of people's actions being subject to the plot, we don't have to talk for much longer, but like you have the entire fact that Jane comes along with him in the first place. Initially, I was like, this feels kind of out of character for her. I mean, we just met her, but then basically it kind of ended up just being used. So she was the vessel for us, for him to explain the plot to us. Obviously, she becomes a
Yeah.
more important character later,
That's
but
the
basically
exposition
in the
dump.
second half of the movie, all she does is we hear her on the phone and it gives like a kind of, a little bit of an interesting tidbit on like religion and extraterrestrial life and
Yeah.
like how that intersects. And then
and then he
she
leaves the
comes in at
note
the last
out.
second and gives
Yeah.
the
He
And
leaves
device.
the
Wyatt
note out at the motel, and that's how they find her. Like it's just she was
and
there the
Wyatt
whole night.
Russell's character is kind of just there for comedic relief in the first like
Yeah,
act and a half, and the comedic relief is just kind of
I thought he was miscast.
not necessary
yeah.
and B not that good of comedic relief.
I just don't I haven't been really been moved by Wyatt Russell and stuff I've seen him in. Maybe I just haven't seen the right stuff, but to
What?
me, like maybe directors are using him wrong because I feel like he's just kind of like a slapstick, like people he's kind of just like a goofy character sometimes. I feel like in this movie there's some moments where you can see he's like the frustration that like a lot of people would have if they were in this situation. But there are other times where I feel like he's overacting a little bit. Like I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Is
Tony,
that
do you have any
you
final
guys?
things you'd want to bring up?
I am glad that we all agree on this. I
Yeah.
think
We
we
I
all
all
think we all
literally
have it at a
agree
three
on
star,
this.
right?
Yeah.
all gave it. I gave it a four initially when I walked out of theater, but that's just because I truly was amazed by the last 20 minutes. And then I kind of think about it more and think about it a little bit more, and it could even go down more. I don't think this will age well. But yeah, we all agree. It's a very, very rare thing for the three of us to agree. If you watch this podcast, you'll learn to realize that.
It is.
And yeah, I think we're good, right?
Yeah, you can take us
All
home.
right. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Next episode is going to be a director's draft. So another draft. And
Back to
yeah,
debates. Don't worry.
yep. Thanks so much.